let's talk about fasting. And so this is a topic that for me, there's kind of two sides I approach it from. There's the Catholic side, and then there's like the personal trainer, nutrition coach side of things. And so the point of this video is I want to try to meet in the middle here. So fasting is not an option for Catholics. Jesus says in Matthew 6, in the Sermon on the Mount, he says, when you fast, right? It's an assumption that you're going to fast. Now, in today's church, we have 2 days of mandatory fasting on Ash Wednesday and Good Friday, the start and end of Lent. And we have days of abstinence every Friday in there as well. But fasting, the idea of fasting is that Jesus knows that when the bridegroom is gone, Jesus ascended in heaven, we need fasting in order to help us conquer ourselves, right? To discipline ourselves and to do it in such a way to where it's not mopey or complaining, but rather joyful, right? Jesus says, wash yourself like so only your heavenly Father who sees in secret sees you. And so when it comes to fasting, there's two parts I want to talk about here. Let's talk about Lent first, and then we'll talk about other days of the year. So when it comes to Ash Wednesday and Good Friday, you just have to fast. It's a Catholic, it's an obligation for us, and it would be sin to knowingly not do it, right? And so remember, it's one full meal, 2 small snacks that don't equal a full meal, and then abstinence is no meat on those days as well. And so what I'll typically do on those days is, I'll have my normal meal, right? Dinner with my family. Typically I'll have salmon and rice and whatever, vegetables. And then the 2 small snacks, I'll typically just do like a protein shake, right? And not like a smoothie, but like literally just like water and like a scoop of protein powder and like a banana. That's a snack for me that definitely does not equal a full meal. For you, that might be a lot. So, you have to kind of discern what is a snack for you. What your needs are. And so, but typically what I'll do is I'll kind of try to have as much protein as I can, knowing that it's not going to be an optimal nutrition day. And that's totally okay. It's one day. It's not the end of the world. And I'm going to sacrifice and give that over to God as a form of prayer. Now let's talk about non-Lent, right? Non-Lent fasting and abstinence. So Fridays are still a day of penance for us as Catholics. And so the church definitely encourages Fridays as a form of penance. And so some of our home workouts, you'll see what we call Offered Up Friday workouts, right? Because they're just really brutally hard workouts. So we need to find some way on Fridays to fast, to die to ourselves in order to better give of ourselves. And so now let's talk about fasting kind of like from a weight loss perspective or a health perspective, because it's kind of a fad that gets thrown around sometimes. Do I have a problem with intermittent fasting? No, not really. I think the thing I'll just always say is that there truly is no magic bullet, right? We don't have any good research supporting this like magical metabolic window that some people will talk about. I have some clients who like intermittent fasting as a form of controlling the caloric intake, which is fine. There's pros and cons to it. You can arbitrarily kind of set your times, and so you typically will consume less calories to it. Another pro, it's kind of mentally not very like burdensome, right? You just like don't eat when it's not in your window. Some potential cons, it can be hard to get enough protein in that time frame. It's just reality. You have less time to eat, so you're not going to eat as much, and so it can be hard to get as much protein in as you need. And there's also a social cost to it as well, right? So if your fasting window is like, 12 to 7, and your girls want to go out to brunch, you're going to be sipping on some water, right? And so understand that with anything like that, there's going to be a social cost to it that some people are willing to pay and some people aren't. But when it comes to fasting, my encouragement here is not necessarily intermittent fasting, even though you can if you want to, but rather it's finding something to do every week that you can die to yourself. That's the point of fasting, to die to yourself, to better give yourself, and particularly on Fridays where Jesus died for us. So pray about this, think about this, reflect, and what am I doing on Fridays now? And what more might I be able to do? Maybe it's abstain from meat, right? That's a classic thing to do on a Friday. Maybe it's do an extra workout. Maybe it's not watch TV or not scroll my phone, not be on social media, or whatever the case may be. Die to yourself to better give of yourself.